I'm Rajalakshmi, Assistant Professor, Faculty of Agricultural Sciences, Bharat Institute of Higher Education and Research. And I'm handling the course on Protected Cultivation and Secondary Agriculture. And today we are going to discuss about moisture measurement, direct method and indirect method of moisture determination, drying and dehydration, and about drying theory and drying rate curves, and critical moisture content, falling rate period, and equilibrium moisture content. So these are all the terms that we are going to discuss in detail in the upcoming slides. First, we have to discuss about what is meant by moisture. So moisture means, so for example, in a food product, how much amount of water present in that product will be represented as a moisture content. Moisture content means the amount of water that is present in the food materials. And then grain moisture content normally determines that the quantity of the water present in the grain sample per unit mass of the dry matter. So for an unit mass, how much amount of moisture present, which is represented in terms of moisture content. Then, so in case of moisture content, there are two types. One is wet basis and another one is dry basis. So normally for an project or else any book representation, they are using this moisture content in terms of wet basis. And another method is dry basis moisture content. And in case of wet basis moisture content is determined by obtained by dividing the water present in the food materials or else any agricultural produce to the total weight of those produce. So if we obtain the ratio of these two terms, we can able to calculate the moisture content in terms of wet basis. And next one is moisture content in the terms of dry basis. Dry basis moisture content is obtained by dividing the amount of water present in the sample, same thing, but we have to include it with the dry mass of these dry solids only. So in case of wet basis moisture content, we are taking the whole, we are adding this mass of the water also in denominator. But in case of dry basis moisture content, we are not including this mass of this dry solids in the sample. So this is the difference in between this wet basis and dry basis moisture content. And there are two methods of determination of this moisture content. One is direct method and another one is indirect method. So direct method is obtained by removing the water present in the sample, and then we are measuring the weight loss. So indirect method is something we are going to calculate it and then we are converting it to the moisture content. And therefore we can able to, we have to determine or we have to obtain a calibration chart. So with these we have to equate it with something, and we can able to calculate this indirect measurement as an prerequisite one. And direct method is more or less accurate, and indirect method it is a since it is a quick process. Direct method, it will take some time. So this is one of the disadvantage of using this direct method. Okay. So first direct method is one stage method, that's hot air oven method. So here what we are using is, we are using it for the grains which is up to 13% moisture content. And what we are doing is, we are taking this 2 to 3 gram of the sample of the grains, and we are placing it in an oven at 130 degrees Celsius for about 1 to 2 hours. So afterwards, what we are doing is, we are taking the sample out and then we are keeping in the desiccator. So why for we are keeping in the desiccator is to prevent the atmospheric intervention, atmospheric moisture intervention. There is a chance that atmospheric moisture content will also enter into the product, or else the product will get absorb the moisture content. So then we are making it to cool down, and then drop in weight is noted, and the moisture content, MC means moisture content of the material is obtained by which is based on the difference in between the initial and the final weight. And next is hot air oven two-stage method. So first method is useful for when the moisture content of this agricultural produce is below 13%. And second method is used when the moisture content is above 13%. So what we are doing is we are taking the sample about 25 to 30 grams. And then we are placing it in a hot air oven for 100 degrees Celsius, about 72 to 96 hours. Then we are taking the sample from the oven and we are finally repeating the process as a one-stage method. So by these, up to this third step, the moisture content of the product will be above, will drop down to below 13%. And these moisture content of the sample, so measure the moisture content, and then we have to calculate the moisture content by measuring the difference in between the initial and the final weight of the sample. Then next one is vacuum oven method. So it is mainly used for fruits and vegetables. And in this method, what we are doing is we are taking 2 to 3 grams of the sample and representative samples. And what we are doing is we are ground these samples and then we are placing it in a vacuum oven at 100 degrees Celsius for 72 to 96 hours. Then dropping the weight of the grains is measured with respect to the initial weight of the grain. So with respect to the initial weight, how much amount the material get lost in its weight. So based on this difference, we are calculating this vacuum oven, we are calculating this moisture content of the sample. Then water oven method. So in this method, what we are doing is we are using the warm or hot water, which is circulated around the oven. So in this method, more or less uniform temperature is maintained in the samples. And then what we are doing is we are taking 25 to 30 grams of the samples and we are placing it in an oven at 100 degrees Celsius for 72 to 96 hours. And then we are measuring a drop in weight is noted. So this drop in weight indicates the moisture content of the sample. Then brown dual distillation method. So brown dual distillation method is, in this method, moisture is removed by heating the grains in an oil. So, and determine the volume of this water which is removed from the grains. And then condensed water starts to condense. So based on the loss in the weight of the sample, we can able to calculate this amount of moisture content present in the sample. So what we are doing is we are taking the 100 grams of the whole sample grains along with 150 ml of mineral oils. And then we are allowing the sample to boil it for some times. So the sample is evaporated and it is collected in a graduated cylinder. Then what happens is both the millimeter moisture content shows the percentage of the moisture content. So here the water which will start the evaporated water which will start to condense in the graduated cylinder. So due to this condensation, we can be able to calculate the amount of water which was present in that sample. And next one is we are taking these mineral oils which will have a difference of temperature, so that only we can be able to calculate that amount of water present in the sample as an accurate manner. Okay, and this time which is required for moisture content determination is about 30 minutes. So if the temperature of these mineral oils reaches to the desired temperature, within the time we can be able to calculate this moisture content determination as an accurate process. And this is a brown dual distillation apparatus. So what we are doing is we are mixing it with the mineral oil and we are placing it in the ground sample and we are allowing it to heat it for some time. Heat it until this method rolls or until this process get over. And here the thermometer is provided, which is used to measure the temperature difference or temperature fluctuation. Or we can be able to calculate how much temperature which is maintaining inside this flask. Okay, as such, so as the water and the mineral oil get evaporated, so this is a hot water bath which is surrounding itself, surrounding around this condensation tube. So what happens is the water which will get condensed here. So we can be able to calculate it with the amount of water which was present in that sample by measuring this graduations. In terms of ml, we can be able to calculate it. And the next method is infrared method. So what we are doing is we are placing in this method, we are placing the sample directly in an infrared lamp. Okay. And so what happens is the infrared lamp has the ability to measure the water which is removed from the sample due to the evaporation. So grain moisture content is directly measured by evaporation of the water which is present in the sample, the grains in the infrared lamp. So these, the commercially infrared lamp is also available in the market itself. And instrument, it consists of an instrument which consists of a balance, and the balance is counter weighted by, counter fixed by some weight. And then it consists of a variable length weighing chain. Here the infrared lamp is mounted on an arm which is placed above the pan. So which have the provision to change the length. So we can be able to change the length of this arm of this infrared lamp. And it consists of the scale which is incorporated, so which having the graduation in terms of moisture content, which is this graduation is measured in the stem of the instrument. So at the end of the test, when the balance is 0, we can be able to calculate the direct reading of the moisture content of the sample which is obtained here. Then the sample of these grains may be ungrounded. So, but when ground sample is used, but when this ground sample also used in this infrared method also. And this is the diagrammatic representation of this infrared method, and it consists of the pan. So we are placing this material above this pan. So here it consists of the stem which is graduated here. Okay, and it consists of, this one is a flexible this one is a flexible stand, and it consists of the support pole and the power cord and intensity regulating knob. So by this knob we can be able to adjust the intensity. And this is one is a flexible frame, and this is the infrared lamp, and it consists of a lamp shade. So this one is known to be the stem. This one is known to be the stem. So which is graduated in terms of percentage of moisture content. And next one is indirect method. So as I told earlier, so indirect method of moisture content determination, which means here we are indirectly measuring this moisture content by using some other properties of this agricultural material. So first thing, we are using it with the moisture meter. So, this one is known to be the universal moisture meter. So nowadays we are using it for an agricultural produce also. So how these universal moisture meter is measuring this moisture content. Okay, now we are going to discuss in this lectures. And here the moisture content is determined by using the electrical resistance or conductivity of the product. And the resistance means which is an electrical quantity that measures how the material which offer the resistance to the flow of the current. And the this principle is used in terms of electrical measuring devices, and the moisture meter which measures the electrical resistance of these materials, and this is calibrated against the moisture content determination. So first this instrument which is used to measure the electrical resistance, then some graphical representation was introduced into this instrument. So if the resistance value is something, it will convert into this moisture content determination. So moisture content determination, and this universal moisture meter gives a fairly accurate readings in terms of moisture content on wet basis. And next thing is this device used to measure the next thing is dielectric method. So this method used to measure the dielectric properties of the grains. And dielectric constant, which is a quantity that measures the ability of the substance to store this electrical energy in an electric field. So in this method, the grains are filled in the grain chamber, and this side of the chambers, which is formed by a plate in between the condensers. So what happens is, here high frequency electric current is passed. So what happens is, it consists of a condenser and capacitors also, which is used to measure the capacitance of the sample. So the capacitance, which will varies with respect to the water present in the sample. And also second thing is, so if we have compacted the sample very high degree, means the capacitance value also varies. So normally, with respect to the grind temperature also, these capacitance values vary. Okay. And next thing is chemical method. So this one is practically used method. So what happens is, we are measuring this water present in the sample by using some of the salts or else some of the chemicals which will react with these water present in the sample. And with respect to the formation of certain things or else formation of the certain thing, we can be able to calculate it. This was the amount of the water which was present in the sample. So what in this method, what we are doing is water which can be removed by adding certain chemicals. So these chemicals react with the water and which will resulting in the formation of another compound also. From this chemical reaction, a gas is produced and which can be measured volumetrically, or else which decreases the original weight of the sample. One thing, here compound will be formed, or else any gas will be released, or else based on the decreasing in the weight of the sample. So mostly in this method, the calcium carbide is used. So which is added with the 30 gram of the materials. So about 10 to 25 minutes is required for this reaction. Second thing is drying and dehydration. So there is a difference in between the drying and dehydration. So drying means a product, so removal of moisture content or else water from the product to a predetermined level. Dehydration means, so until these bone drying, so means how much amount we can be able to extract from the material to a very lower level. Usually this is represented as a bone dry condition. This is known to be the dehydration. So next we are going to discuss about drying theory. Drying means at the time of harvesting, moisture content of the product is very high. So all by this nature, the food grains is normally hygroscopic in nature. So what happens is, they will lose or gain this moisture present with respect to this atmospheric condition. So moisture migration which will take place due to the difference in the vapor pressure between this atmosphere and the product. Okay. If the vapor pressure of this grain is greater than the atmosphere, means what happens is, grain will transfer of moisture from the grain to the atmosphere to take place. So vice versa. If this atmospheric vapor pressure is greater, means grains will absorb this moisture. Then drying rate. So it is defined as the mass of water which is removed from the product with an unit time per unit mass of the dry matter. Normally it is denoted by the psi. So drying rate means the mass of water which is removed from the product to the unit mass of the dry material. And or else it can be removed as the mass of water removed per unit time per unit area. So normally it is denoted by N. So drying curve, which is defined as it is a plot in between the drying rate versus drying time or moisture contents. So this is the drying curve, which here drying rate is plot in between the time with respect to the moisture content. And second thing is moisture content with respect to the drying rate of the product. So there are three sections in the case of the drying of the product. Then the drying rate period is, there are three periods. One is constant rate period, and the falling rate first period, and the falling rate second period. So normal convection drying consists of three processes only, three periods. Okay. So this is how we are drying an product or else rice. Normally, the rice is grounded and it is produced in the pasted form. So this is dried. This is left to dry for 2 to 3 days. So which will depends upon this atmospheric condition. So it will left to dry until it becomes a bone dry material. Then this is known to be the dehydrated. So then first one is constant rate drying period. First period 1 to 2 is called as constant rate period. So in this, the water present in the moisture surface of this product, which will behave like a free water surface. Second thing is this product or else this process will continue until this process will continue until the water is removed from the surface. So which is equal to the interior of this product to the surface, or else which is equal to the rate of moisture migration from interior to the surface of this material. So, this will taken place until this moisture migration from interior product to the surface. So normally, when the water is removed from the surface, means what happens? It will have a lower pressure. So water have the property to move from a lower to a higher. So due to the difference in the pressure, it will start to move from interior to the surface, and the constant drying period continues till the critical moisture content of the product is reached. So critical moisture contents means which will depends upon the product as well as the thickness of the material. So for an agricultural material, constant rate drying period is very short period. So it will depends upon this, how much area which is uncovered from the product, and due to the difference in humidity level between the surface, wet surface and the air. And next thing is due to the difference in the drying air velocity. So next thing is drying rate, which will depends upon the difference in temperature of the air and the temperature of the wet surface, which is taken place at the constant air velocity and the constant relative humidity. So difference in humidity between an air stream and the wet surface, which will be taken place at the constant velocity and the temperature. The air velocity is maintained to be the constant at a constant temperature and constant humidity. And critical moisture content means, so it is the moisture content of the product from where the drying rate period ceases and the falling rate period starts. So it is the point where this constant rate drying. So until this migration takes in place, this is known to be the constant rate drying. So when this starts, this is known to be this falling rate period has started. So it is defined as a moisture content of the product from where drying rate ceases and the falling rate starts. It is known to be the critical moisture content. And the cause of this falling rate period is due to the drying, this inability of moisture, which is conveyed from the center to the grind body surface, which is comparable. So due to this moisture evaporation with the surroundings. Second thing is falling rate period 1, F1. Due to this period, first falling rate period, this is known to be the first falling because of this decreasing in the wet surface area, and the drying rate is decreases. So as this drying rate proceeds, the fraction of the wet surface decreases to the 0, where F1 period 1 ends. So in this first falling rate period, the wet surface area decreases, at the same time drying rate period starts. So due to this period 3 and the 4, it is known to be the second falling rate period. And in this period, surface evaporation is most of them completed, where subsurface, so below the surface, subsurface evaporation will be taken place. So it will taken place until this equilibrium moisture content is reached. So most of this agricultural produce are drying in the falling rate period. So in this period, the movement and the diffusion of this moisture in the interior, and which will control this entire drying the product. So in this falling rate period, the movement as well as diffusion of this moisture from the interior to the grind, or else entire drying process will be taken place. So this will control this entire drying process. The next thing is equilibrium moisture content. So moisture content of this food material does not vary with respect to the time. For a given combinations, so what is known to be the equilibrium moisture content is, this is known to be the moisture content of the product with respect to this atmospheric condition. So moisture, when the product is said to be an equilibrium moisture content, means at the vapor pressure and the temperature. Okay, when it is left undisturbed, natural end of absorption or desorption process take place. So when this process is left undisturbed, means what happens is grind will starts to absorb the moisture, or else grind will starts to lose the moisture. So this is a natural, and it is a very slow process. So for a food material, it may take several weeks to reach equilibrium moisture content. So moisture content obtained by the grinds with respect to the set of this atmospheric temperature and the relative humidity, which is known to be the equilibrium moisture content. So with respect to the temperature and the humidity only, this equilibrium moisture content is said to be obtained. So what are all those importance of equilibrium moisture content? This concept of equilibrium moisture content is plays an important role in study and the drying of storage of fruits and the vegetables. This equilibrium moisture content helps to decide the stability of the food at that particular moisture content. And the EMC of values of several grinds and the food can be determined by several researchers in the literature. But they have mentioned it that equilibrium moisture content with respect to this temperature and this relative humidity. So these equilibrium moisture content will vary with respect to this temperature and the relative humidity. So when it is exposed to the air, what happens is high moisture content food will starts to lose this moisture content, or else low moisture content food which will starts to gain this moisture content. And this equilibrium moisture content determines the minimum moisture content to which the food can be dried under the set of this condition. And it is also determines the amount of moisture in which a dehydrated food can be able to absorb during this storage. So by using this, we can be able to have an idea that so how much amount of this moisture content in which an equilibrium or else in which an dehydrated food will able to absorb the moisture content during this storage. Normally, EMC can be elaborated by using this example. So if we are taking a 16% moisture content with respect to this environment of 86 degrees Celsius and 75% relative humidity, what happens is wheat and oat will lose the wheat will absorb this moisture and oat will start to lose the moisture content. So this is because of difference in the vapor pressure of the moisture between these oats. This is because vapor pressure in between these two will vary. So what happens is so moisture will start to migrate it. So this is the explanation they have given it. The next one is equilibrium moisture content. This is a moisture content obtained by the grinds with respect to the set of the atmospheric temperature and the relative humidity, which is known to be the equilibrium moisture content. And this moisture content, in terms of moisture migration, what happens is high relative humidity food will starts to, so if an atmosphere is having a higher relative humidity, food sample will starts to absorb this moisture. So if the food sample is having a higher moisture content when compared to this air which is having a lower relative humidity, means what happens is this will starts to food sample will starts to lose the moisture. So this will happen. So what are those factors which will affect the equilibrium moisture contents means? So it is will mainly depends upon the air temperature and the relative humidity. So if a food sample is having a same initial moisture content and the vapor pressure, when it is exposed to different vapor pressure, means what happens is both will come to equilibrium with respect to the different moisture content. And this equilibrium moisture content depends upon the air vapor pressure, and which in terms also depends upon the temperature as well as relative humidity. So this is known to be the equilibrium moisture content of the product with respect to the set of an atmospheric condition, with respect to the surrounding at the given set of temperature and the relative humidity. Normally, grind will lose or gain the moisture content. So this is normally represented by using an isotherm curve. which is plot in between an equilibrium moisture content and equilibrium relative humidity. So this will gives an idea whether these material will start to absorb or lose the moisture content. So this is also give an idea about how much amount of this water which is removed from the product, and which is also helps to determine the drying characteristics of the product. So there are three types of moisture content. One is bound type moisture content, unbound, and the free moisture content. So free moisture content means excess moisture present. Then unbound moisture content means here the vapor pressure of this so moisture which is having a vapor pressure which is equal to that of pure water. So bound moisture contents means chemically bound to this food or agricultural material. So which will exert a vapor pressure which is less than that of the pure water. So normally the bound moisture content is very difficult to remove. For example, unbound and the free moisture content, we can be able to remove it very easily. So at 100% relative humidity, free moisture content which is equal to the bound moisture content. So this is a curve which is a plot between the moisture content and the relative humidity. So this is a curve which is drawn. So it shows that the free moisture content which is able to remove very easily. So the free moisture content which consists of this unbound moisture content and the bound moisture content. So with respect to certain moisture content, the bound moisture content can be easily removed. So after certain period, we can be able to remove it very easily.